So our today's topic is called decision making. So as usual, we shall first of all discuss, then we shall capture the questions in our notes. We shall capture the questions in our notes. So when we talk about a decision, we are referring to the making of a choice. It is the selection of one option from a set of options in order to achieve a particular goal. That is what we call a decision. The selection of one option from a set of several options so that you achieve a goal. Like you are coming to this class today, it's a choice that you made. You had other options. You could have woken up and remained in the house, or even you could have continued sleeping, like now when it's very cold, or you could have come and attended other things in town, and so many other options that were available to you, but you chose to come to class. Now, this selection process is guided by two things. One, there is what we call personal preference. Now, personal preference is what you prefer as an individual, and is what makes people to say that the beauty is on the eye of the beholder. Different persons looking at the same thing, they make different conclusions. And all of them are okay. That's why they say my dress, my choice, my decision, my choice. So the best you can do is just to take note of what I've decided, but you have no ground to tell me that I've made the wrong decision or the right decision. The other thing is what we call risk appetite. Now, risk, first of all, is the probability that the actual outcome will be different from the expected outcome. Like now, when you came to this class this morning, even before I came, you had an expectation that I'm coming to teach. Now that I'm teaching, that is what we are calling the actual. So or when you compare the actual and the expected, there are usually three possibilities. That number one, they are equal. So if they are equal, there is no emotion that is generated. It is okay. You don't feel it. Like now, if you're expecting me to come to the class, and I've actually come to the class, then there is no emotion. Okay, Alice, need to say. Okay, good. Then the second one is where the actual is greater than expected. You are not expecting a good teacher, but now you are seeing a very, very good teacher. So what happens in that case? It generates an emotion, and that creates what we call satisfaction. You feel happy about the decision that you made. The third possibility is where actual is less than expected. You expected a very good teacher, but now you're finding a very poor teacher. Now that generates an emotion which causes what we call dissatisfaction. It makes you to feel bitter. So those are the three possibilities. Now these two, they have no problem. The problem is here, where you become dissatisfied, bearing in mind that you already have paid your school fees, and in the school fee structure, they have written that fees once paid is not what? Refundable. So when you feel now you are getting a low D, you are being changed, you feel bitter. So when people feel bitter, there are some who completely give up. They are not able to rise again. So are you able to rise again? Now that aspect of rising again, or answering that question whether you're able to rise again, answers what we call risk appetite. There are people whose appetite is very low. They fear anything that will bring them down. Now, as a result of this, decision makers are usually classified into three. We have those who we call risk takers. Or first of all, before I talk of risk takers, let me talk of risk neutral. These are decision makers who do not compute risk at all. They don't bother about risk. They do what they do without computing risk, and they use a concept of what we call average to make decisions. Then we have those we call the risk takers. They compute risk and they go for the option that has the highest risk. They are risk takers. Then number three, we have risk averse. These are guys who compute risk, but they go for the lowest risk. They avoid risk. So you fall in one of these three. Now, the other thing that you need to know about that is the process of making decisions, or the steps that we take when we are making decisions. Number one, we start by identification of the objective. What is it that you want to achieve? Why did you come to this class? What brought you here? Number two, what are the options, the alternative courses of action? The options are what you can control. Like, you are coming to this class was within your control. Number three, you identify what we call the outcomes. Outcomes, we also call them states of nature because they are beyond your control. You are coming to this class was within your control. But being taught QA by me is beyond your control. You did not choose. Destiny did not ask you whether you want to be taught QA by Kimani or not. You just came and found that Kimani is teaching you QA. Now that is called an outcome. They are what we call consequences. These ones are also what we call choices. That's why you hear people saying choices have what? Consequences. And consequences, you cannot run away from them. You have to stay there, you endure or you enjoy to end. Number four, you gather data. You get to know what are the possibilities of the options and the outcomes. Then you analyze the data and compute what we call the payoffs. We'll be computing that in a while. And then you select the best option. And once you select the best option, you start implementing. Like when it was about choosing this school, Destiny Technical Training Institute, you had other schools that you could have chosen and other schools that you knew. But of all of them, you chose Destiny, you selected. Then after you selected, you implemented. Implementation of that decision was evidenced by the fact that you paid for the school. And then after paying, you started attending what? Lessons. Then from there is what we call the feedback. Now that you have been here for a while, una information unajua about Destiny, which you did not know before you came. And that information, as I told you the other day, will help you now decide next semester whether you will come back to Destiny or you will not come. Whether you can advise someone to join Destiny or you cannot advise someone. So some of these things that I've mentioned are not captured in my notes because ours is not very detailed. We are just focused on computation, but in real life, that is how we go about it. The other thing that you need to know is called decision-making environments. And we make decisions depending on where we are. Like right now, none of you is talking to the other because Kimani is here. Most likely when I was not in this room, some of you are talking to each other. Is that so? Or you want to tell me like the way we make car, that is how you have started the whole lesson. So you are not talking because you hate your neighbor. You are simply not talking because now Mwalimu is here. The environment, when the environment changes, we make different what? Decisions. So we have 4 types of environments. The first one is called the environment of competition. Competition is where there is one item and more than one persons are interested in that item. And that item cannot be subdivided so that each of the interested parties have a share. So they start competing. For example, the presidency, or even when it comes to relationships, you find there is one lady and more than one man are interested in her, or there is one man and more than one ladies are interested in him, and many other areas. Now, those ones, they generate what we call conflicts. Actually, this one we call it the science of conflicts. Fortunately or unfortunately, the new syllabus removed this topic, so I will not get into details. But in the old syllabus, we used to teach game theory, the theory of competition, the conflicts, how you deal with them, and so on. The next environment is called environment of stability. This is where we are very sure of the possibilities. For example, right now, as we speak, we know that this class will finally come to an end. What we do not know is exactly what time the class will come to an end. Now, in this case, we call them, or in these cases, we call them hypothetical. Hypothetical is something that is just theory. You have nothing to do about it. None of us has anything to do with the class coming to an end. Hata tukiamua tutasoma 50 hours non-stop or 3 weeks non-stop. Finally, we will come to an end of the. The next one is called uncertainty. This is where we have more than one possibilities and we do not have data to compute probabilities. For example, when you sit for an exam, we know the possibilities, but you cannot tell exactly which one will come out to be. And actually, The reality is that this is how life is. Life is full of what? Uncertainties. Life is full of uncertainties. You cannot say that you are very sure of anything, including our health, including the relationships that we form. Yeah. Where I come from, they say you can only talk about the hand that while you were sleeping, your head was lying on it. These are the hand you cannot speak for it. You don't know you get that. Have you ever heard of that? I don't know whether I'm translating it vizuri. Ukiambiwa usiku ulinigonga kumi, maybe you are sleeping together, and I accuse you, you punched me. You should not be quick to say no, because hiyo mkono hauko umeilalia kwa kichwa, lakini ile ulikuwa umelalia hivi Patrick, tukasema hii nilikuwa nimelalia, so there is no way it could have moved. But hii yenye huko umelalia, there is a possibility ilisonga na ikagonga mtu while you are still asleep. So when you are giving explanations about, or when you want to defend people, only defend that which you are very sure. So by that I was saying, even the relationship that we are in, you cannot defend them. They are full of what? Uncertainties. Our own lives, they are full of uncertainties. Our jobs, they are full of what? Uncertainties. Yeah, and that is the order of life. Then we have what we call risk. Now, risk is uncertainty, but has probabilities, and we'll be looking at them. Now, each of these has rules, and we have 8 rules. We are going to look at them in this lesson. I think I have said everything that I needed to say. Maybe finally there is what we call value of information. And value of information is how much you need to pay in order to acquire the information. So with that now, we can get to our past papers, not past papers, our handout. I've given you a handout that has questions. So that is where I want us to begin. So in your notes, I think decision making, that is the topic. Decision making. Decisions making. And then question number 1 is about measurement of risk. Measurement of risk. So we are dealing with question 1. Question 1, we want to prepare something called analysis table. Now, this analysis table has several columns. The first column is called criteria or decision criteria. Let me add that. Let me add that word. Decision criteria. Then there is what we call equity 1. What we call equity 2. Choice made by a decision maker. Written decision. I want to see how I can change it. choice made by risk neutral taker and a pass. So that's the format. Downwards in F has just 3 items. So we have the expected value of average. That is the expected value of x or x bar. Your other in a computation shall just pick it from the question. It is given. We have another one called standard deviation. That is delta. After your in a computation. Then we have another one called coefficients of variation. CV, which is given as delta out of the mean times 100. So right here, as we saw in question 1, I put some ink. So already do it. Okay, so if that is true, as you can see in equity 1, the mean is what? 12%. And equity 2, the mean is 9.5%. A decision maker who is risk neutral, umesema they use the average and they go for the higher or the highest. So they will go for equity 1. Equity 1. But the risk taker does not use that, so it's not applicable. And this one also does not use that. Decision criteria is the characteristic that you look for you to be able to say that this is the way or this is not the way. That's what we call decision criteria. Then, when you look at the standard deviation is given as 2%. Here it's given as 1.8%. Now, standard deviation is a measure of risk. And the higher the value, the higher the risk. The higher the value, the higher the risk. So, the risk neutral does not use that. It does not compute risk. So it's not applicable. Not applicable. But the risk taker will go for equity 1 because it has a higher risk. And the risk averse will go for equity 2. Will go for equity 2 because it has a lower risk. Coefficient of variation is given as the standard deviation. So this will be 2, you divide by the mean of 12 times 100. Tell me what percent that is. Two out of 12, 16.7%. 16.7%. And this other one, 1.8, you divide by 9.5 times 100. $18.9. 18.9%. Now, this guy who is risk neutral does not use that. Does not use that. But this one he uses and he goes for the higher. So he will take equity 2. He will take equity 2. And this other one will take equity 1. Will take equity 1. So that is how you compute those items. Now the question was asking us, on the basis of minimizing risk, advise the investor which of the 2 equities would be better. Clearly state your reasons. So the advice, down there, I think advice. Advice. On the basis of minimizing risk. On the basis of minimizing risk, equity 1 is better. Equity 1 is better since it has a smaller risk. Since it has a smaller risk according to coefficient of variation. According to coefficient of variation. So, the decision is made using coefficient of variation. The decision is made using coefficient of variation. Instead of standard deviation. set of standard deviation. Since they are conflicting. Since they are conflicting in the above case. Since they are conflicting in the above case. So what you're saying here is this. You see now, ukiangalia standard deviation, inasema you go for 2. But ukiangalia coefficient of variation is saying you go for 1. So they are giving different directions. So which one should you follow? Na tunasema in case they conflict, si kila mahali they conflict, but in case they conflict, you always take guidance from coefficient of variation. Okay, the next one I'll design unit the probability that equated to pays higher average rate of return than the average rate of return paid by equity 1. So let's get probability. The probability. So in the probability, I told you what you do. You draw a normal curve like this. You draw a normal curve like this. Then here you tell us the mean. Here standard deviation. So because we are told the probability that equated 2 pays a higher average rate of return. So we are dealing with equated 2. Equated 2 equal to 9.5, that is the mean, and the standard deviation is 1.8. It's 1.8. We are told that it will pay higher. So if it's going to pay higher, equated 1 equal to 12. So 12 will be here, x1. So we want higher, this one. That is what we want. That is what we want. So if that is what we want, Z1 will be x1 minus x bar, you divide by standard deviation. This will be 12 minus 9.5, you divide by 1.8. Give me the value of Z to 2 decimals. $1.39. So from the tables, go to your tables and tell me Z1, rather not Z1, probability that X is greater than or equal to 12 will be 0.5. I told you we are subtracting 0.5 because from here all the way to the end is 0.5. Yeah, na hii tutasoma ni kutoka hapa kwa 9.5 mpaka 12. So nisomee hiyo 0.4177. 0.4177. $0.0823. So that is the probability that she will pay more. So on your own, I will suggest that you consider solving this question. Yes, May 2017, question 2C. The question of May 2017, question 2C. So you can consider looking at that. May 2017, question 2C. From there, the next agenda is on what we call SIGO stage decision. SIGO stage decision. Now, SIGO stage decision, SIGO stage decision are decisions, as you can see in your notes, which have only one set of outcomes and one set of options. So I want us to handle question 2. I want us to handle question number 2. Question 2. We have analysis table. So let's read the question. So the question says that suppose that you are the owner of a cake shop, the cake box. At the beginning of each day, you have to decide how many fresh cream cakes to stock in order to meet the demand during the day. Each cake costs shillings 70 and sells for shillings 130 each. The cake cannot be stored overnight, and if any remain at the end of the day, they are sold off for shillings 30 each. An analysis of past sales data give the following information. So we have that. Now you are required, the decision you have to make is how many cakes should be bought at the beginning of each day. Now, as I told you, the very first thing is to know what is the objective of making the decision. This guy who is operating the shop, what do you think is his objective? After you sell, earn profits. Good. The objective is to earn profits, and not just earn profits, but to maximize profits and the maximum possible. So if that is the case, what options are there? Actually, there are two main things that a business person does. One is what? A business person like Mama Boga, there are two things anafanya. Buys and sales. Yes, buys and sales. Now, which one is within her control? Buying and selling is good. So that's how simple it is. So the objective is to make profits. Number two, the option is how many to, and the outcome is the demand. So hii table huwa inapangwa hivi. Hapa unakuja unasema we have the options. And the option is what we are calling purchase as the option. Then we have demand, not demand first. First of all, we have the outcome. And outcome is what we are calling demand. Outcome is what we are calling demand. Some people want to separate them like this, so that you don't think that options are always purchased, outcomes are always demands. So in our case, the option is to purchase, and the demand is the outcome. Then from there, from there now we will have how do you compute the profit? The general formula of profit is how do you compute profit? Good. Selling price minus the buy. In business language, that is what we call revenue minus costs. That gives us what? Profit. And in this topic, instead of using the word profit more, we shall be using the word payoff. So how do we get the revenue? It is units sold times selling price minus units purchased minus unit costs. That will give us the payoff. So I think your formula, that is how we are going to get it. Maybe hata hii tunaweza separate hivi. Okay. So this should be units purchased. So the computation goes like this. Tumemaliza? Not yet. You had some questions sometimes back. What's aside? So we shall talk about plans. So assume we go to the market, according to this, the number of cakes demanded per day is 1. Buy 1. And demand is 1. Demand means the number of customers who come to the shop. So you just sell 1 at a selling price of what? 130. And you have bought how many? 1 at a unit cost of 70. So how much is the profit? 60. You go to the market, you buy 1 again, but demand is 2. Umekuja na one cake, two customers at half. So how many cakes do you sell? One. At 130. And you bought one at 70. So the profit is still what? 60. You go to the market, buy one. But demand is what? 3. So how many do you sell? One at 130. You have bought one at 70. So that is what? 60. Demand is 4. So 1 at 130. 1 at what? 70. So that is what? 60. So hiyo sasa unaweza ifungia. That's an option on its own. Haya, assume that we have gone to the market, tumenunua B. I've bought 2. Demand is 1. Demand is 1. So, how many do you sell? 1, because you only one customer at 130. But you have bought how many? 2 at 70. So the profit will be -10. Okay. The next one is you have bought 2, but demand is 2. So you sell the 2 of them at what? 130. And you have bought 2 at 70. Yes. Haya, so umepata profit ya 120. Haya, demand is 3. If demand is 3 and you have bought 2, so you just sell 2 at 130. You have bought 2 at 70, so it's your bundle 120. Na huyu mwingine, if demand is 4, you still sell 2 at 130. 2 times 70, that gives us 120. So hiyo unaifungia. Close this one. You go to the next. Assume you have gone to the market, you have bought what? 3. But demand is just 1. Only one customer has come. So you sell how many? 1 at 30. And you have bought 3 at 70. So that gives us a profit of -80. Haya. 2 customers come. So you sell 2 at 130. You have bought 3. So that gives us what? Hmm? 50. I don't know why, but to our morning, I think, I don't know whether they missed how many in Nakosel, but giving me some different figures. Yes. Nothing more than this figure, I think they gave me a wrong one, or they gave me 20, 12 positive 20. They gave me 1 wapi? Hii iko sawa. These ones are also okay, eh? Hapa napo 50. Na hii nayo yaite iko sawa. So I think then they thought the wrong things. So this one you sell 3 and you have bought 3. Oh, they are sold. Oh, they are 2. Sasa hiyo information now that we did not capture it in our formula. I see. So what we shall do in your questions, you shall now I see. We shall avoid that. Now your statement inasema if any remain at the end of the day they are sold off for that change. So toa hiyo sasa. Delete that information. Why? Huh? You delete it because if you want it to remain, then it's ability to design the formula. Would be human. That would be evolved. Yes. Yeah. Ability to the human. So hiyo ya kuuzwa 30. Now I see why they have a different tax. Good. So that is okay, eh? This one, 180. The next one, you buy 4 and you sell 3 because you have bought 3. That is also 180. Okay. Now from there, we have number what? 4. You go and buy 4. You go and buy 4. Demand is 1. So you sell 1 and you have bought 4. Negative 150. You sell 2 here because demand is 2 and you have bought 4. Hmm? 20. You sell 3 because you have bought 4. Hmm? 110. And here 4, 4. And gives us what? Oh. 240. 240. So that is how you compute. That is how you compute the payoffs. Some questions will give you the answers. Those values computed. Others require you to compute, like you have seen in this one. So after you have computed, we draw a table or we do a summary. Now this summary is called payoffs table. Payoffs table. Payoffs table. So this payoffs table inapangwa namna hii. We have the option and the outcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, something called EMV. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and something called probability. That way. Nisomee the values that we had gotten. Toka huko juu. The first ones were 60, followed by minus 10. Then 120, 120, 120, followed by minus 80, followed by 50, then 180 and 180, then minus 150, then 20, 1, 1, 2, 0, and 240. Hiyo 20 sema ni minus. It's negative. Negative 20. Negative 20. So probability, first of all, let's get the sum of the frequencies. That question, the frequencies are 5, 10, 15, and 20. 5 plus 15, no, plus 10, and 15 plus 20. Toto yake ni 50. So if you want to get the probability, is usually given as F, you divide by the sum of F. Like here, kwanza, it is 5 divided by 50. The first one is 5 divided by 50. That gives us what? 0.1. So hiyo 0.1 ndio tunaandika hapa. Ile tulikuwa tunasema formula probability, tulikuwa tunasema desire but possible. Yes. So 10 divided by 50, 0 points. 10 divided by 50. 15 divided by 50. 0.3. Huyo mwingine 20 divided by 50. 0.4. Good. So that is the information. Now you have information. Now it's time to make the decision. So sasa down there utaandika decision made. Decision made using. We make decisions using some rules. Kuna sheria tunajiwekeanga. So number 1 is called most likely event rule. Most likely event rule. Most likely event rule. Most likely event rule. Now, most likely, it deals with the probabilities. It deals with the probabilities. And this is how you go about it. The first thing, unahakikisha that the names of the options are the same as the names of the outcomes. So is that the case here? These names, are they the same? Or you want names that have alphabets? These are mathematics. I should say the titles, the headings, and the columns. Are they the same? Yeah, so if they are the same, this rule can be used. But if they are not the same, the rule cannot be used. So what you do once you have confirmed, you pick the highest probability. Kati ya hizi nne, which one is the highest? 0 points? Yeah. So you circle that. And when you circle that, you just come now and offer your advice. They should buy 4. There were what? 4 cakes, They're dealing with cakes. So that one is as simple as that. So that's how you make that decision. You should buy 4 cakes. Okay. Rule number 2. Number 2 huwa inaitwa expected monetary value rule. Now, this expected monetary value rule, we have the option here And then we compute something called expected monetary value without information. Expected monetary value without information. The option this is what you do. You come here and say option 1. Unachukua hizi payoffs, you multiply with the probability. So kama ya kwanza tasema ni 60 times 0.1 plus 60 times 0.2 plus 60 times 0.3 plus 60 times 0.4. Obviously the answer here will be 60. We go to option 2. You take minus 10 times 0.1 plus 120 times 0.2 plus 120 times 0.3 plus 120 times 0.4. Ah, 107. We go to option number 3. It is minus 80 times 0.1 plus 50 times 0.2 plus 180 times 0.3 plus 180 times 0.4. One 28. 128. We go to number 4. Equal minus 150 times 0.1 plus minus 20 times 0.2 plus 110 times 0.3 plus 240 times 0.4. Ten. So with that, first of all, write these values here. This is 60, 107, 128, and 110. So the advice. The advice is now here we go for the highest. We go for the highest. So the highest is 128. So you advise them to buy what? 3 cakes. You advise them to buy 3 cakes. And let's go to the next rule. That is rule number 3, which is called max rule. And max rule, we have the option here, and then maximum payoff. So option 1, nakimbilia hapa, tunaangalia kati ya hizi nne, the highest is which? 60. Option 2, the highest is 120. Option 3, the highest is 180. Option 4, the highest is 240. 140. Sasa hii huwa inakuwa interpreted like this. Select the maximum of the maximums. Select the maximum of the maximums. So the maximum of these maximums is which one? 240. So what do you advise them down there? They should buy 4 cakes. They should buy 4 cakes. Okay, that is good. But I wanted to address that after I do several others. Hold on. But it's good you have picked that very fast. Rule number 4 is called max min. Max min rule. So max min rule, we have the option. Then we pick the minimum payoff. The minimum payoff. So, 1, Kibiria for 1, the minimum is what? 60. When you go to 2, the minimum is minus 10. When you go to 3, the minimum is minus 80. When you go to 4, the minimum is minus 150. So this rule, you interpret it like this. Select the maximum of the minimums. Select the maximum of the minimum. So unakuja hapa kwa hizi minimums, you pick the maximum. The maximum there is what? 60. So what do you tell them? They should buy what? 1 cake. Now there are other rules, although we are not going to write them, which go hand in hand with that. That is min max and min, but we're not going to write. So, going by the same argument, this would say select the minimum of the maximums. So unakuja hapa kwa the maximum. Ukiwa hapa, you pick the minimum. So the minimum is 60. So you are dividing just by 1. This one, it says select the minimum of the minimums. So unakuja hapa kwa minimums, you pick the minimums. So the minimums in here. Yeah. What you notice, and you already have noticed that, and that's very good. These different rules are giving us different advices. Yeah. There are times they can give you the same, but quite often they will give you different advices. The explanation is like, ukiangalia kwa hii rule, na mtu amevaa kama mwingine. Just check. Including myself. Nani amevaa vibaya? Na mtu amevaa vibaya. And we pick any color tuseme hiyo color yako leo Monday is a very bad. And we say anyone is very good. Hiyo color yako, this is the color for Monday. See, kila mtu hapo sawa? Yes. That tells you what I said earlier. That the beauty is on the eye of the beholder. We make different choices. What makes them to be different is the rule that you have used. So if I'm using max, now I will utumie max min, from the same data, we make different conclusions. That's why someone who is well exposed, they do not criticize the decisions made by others by calling them fools. The best you can do is to take note of my decision. You are only supposed to call me a fool if you have known the rule that I have used. And according to that rule, now I have made a wrong choice. For example, if you know I used max, and then I'm telling you I chose 2, then there you are justified to call me what? A fool. Because according to max, I should have gone for. But if you do not know which rule I used, please just note my decision and stop at that point. Unfortunately, we all want people to form the same decisions we are making. And when they don't, we call them fools. Look at how we do our politics. If you're not supporting Raila, wewe ni mjinga. If you're not supporting Ruto, wewe ni mjinga. See, that's what some people do. But I have my own reasons why I support Raila, or I have my own reasons why I support Ruto. And actually, venye unaniona mimi mjinga, hata mimi nakuona wewe mjinga. Yes. It's equal and opposite. So just get to know which decision people have made. I see even when it comes to relationships, some people asking others, yani wewe umetafuta huyu jelelione. See this person. Wewe umeelewa anaonaka nini? Wewe ukiangalia you see nothing. But here akiangalia, they see their heaven. So if I met you and I told you this is my wife, please just say I have pressure to meet you or to meet her. Maswali mingi, wachana nayo. But some people, they want to say, ati hapana, huyu si bwanako, huyu hangekuwa bibi yako, haugeenda huko, haungefanya hii. No, that is me. And I'm happy with it the way it is. I hope that is well understood. Eh? We make different decisions depending on different. Now, and that's why life is good. Look at the way we are dressed now. So we have a variety. And it looks good because we make different choices. You can imagine zote kama tungewata kama hii. Is the reason why there is what we call business. You know, business is about buying and selling. So two people ukiwaonyesha hii rula, mmoja anafikiria it is time to buy, na mwingine anafikiria it is time to sell. And as a result kuna biashara. But kama all of us tutaiangalia hivyo tuseme it is time to sell, nani atanunua? Or it is time to buy, who will sell? The next thing that I needed to say is this. This rule inatumiwa na watu who are very optimistic in life. Wale watu wanajiona very good things happening to them. And that's how you should be. Kila mahali utajipata, kwanza unaendea the best, then out of those best, pick the best. I don't know your marital status, but most likely most of you are not married. So rusha macho hivyo. Pick the best. Out of those best, pick the best of the best. How you pick or how you select, that's a different discussion. But I think I've made my points. Don't go for charging no one when there was a better option. Yes. When there was a better option, go for the better what? Yes. But I never belong to the category of the tail. No, I'm not saying you're my extent, going to sleep with everyone, testing who is. No, that's not. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying the selection criteria I do not want to discuss. Yes. There are no options. There are no options. People are not there. What do you mean? Yeah, now actually in this card, these are already two girls. You are two men. So what do you mean? They are there. The ratio is 1:1. Practically and biblically.
You see, you go for the options behind
it is fine saying napenda ubedi na baada ubedi unapenda. The diet of life, lakini tutakosa mmoja atakupenda unapenda hapendi, anapendwa mwingine ama anapenda mwingine. Move on, utafika kwako. Yes, utafika kwako. Utapata yule anakupenda na wewe. Yes. So don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry, lakini usichelewe sana. See, that's right. Then not only in marriage, hapa kwa shule. Soma. Go for the best. Don't just be the people who are aiming to pass the way na 50%. Impossible pita na 100. Yes, go for the best. At the university, don't just be the fellows who get a pass. Aim for the first class.
So mwalimu, hii situation na huyo mtu anauza keki.
Yes.
Au hizo keki zote ama zibaki hapo na make decision.
Atako na
Hiyo keki nikisema na buy for, then at the end of the day a sell of anafaa make decision yake hapo. Isibaki.
Sasa hii ndio analysis ya kuangalia. If he buys like now here, if he buys 4 na auze 2 moja, si 3 zimebaki, so he makes a loss of 150. Akinunua 4 auze 2 zimebaki, he makes a loss of 20. Hapa 4 auze 3 moja ibaki, he makes a profit of. Here, if he buys 4 and he sells all of them, he makes a profit of 240. So hii analysis ndio unastahili kuangalia yote, then finally you come with a conclusion. But the choice that you have made does not mean that that is what will actually be. Remember, I said life is about uncertainties.
Say God, hii kitu tunafanya sahihi, determine huyo seller atanunua anunue how many cakes ndio apate maximum profit.
That is what we are doing. That's what we are doing, and we are advising you. But the advice does not mean that is exactly what will happen. You know, life has 2 phases. There is, you must plan your life. Then you must work with your plan. And quite often, the plan may not apply in reality. But it is always better to have a plan than not to have what? Someone who has a plan is always better than another plan. So that's what you're doing. So I was saying, hii inatumika na wale watu wako very. Hii nayo mimi inatumika na wale watu very pessimistic. They don't see anything good happening to them. They are always negative. They don't see anything good even happening to others. Anytime you give them an idea, they have a lot of examples of how that idea cannot work. You tell them I'm thinking of getting married. You say, hey, where do you feel about? That's what now. Examples. You tell them you are being CPA. CPA na venye watu kuanguka utaishi hapo miaka 10. Ujui hata fulani sasa hapo karibu kuitaya na hajawahi maliza. So they have a lot of what? Examples. You tell them you are buying a matatu. Matatu ni nini? Si afadhali ukanunue wacha. Matatu, polisi, makanga. They have a lot of what? Negativity. You kama mwai ona watu mbaya. Now, that negativity is usually motivated by 2 things. Now I'm becoming a counselor. You should pay me after this. Is motivated by 2 things. One, what we call malice. Malice is where this person knows the idea you're proposing is good and it will work. And after it will work, you will be better than them. But they cannot imagine yourself being better than them or being better than you are. For some of them even could be better than you are right now, but they cannot want to see you being any better. Wanataka tu ukae where you are. So as a result, then they discourage you from implementing the called malicious. The second one is ignorance. Now, ignorance is where the person does not know whether it can work. So they are so sincere. Actually, they mean good for you. They do not want you to take that direction and go suffer tomorrow. Now, such people, they are good. But unfortunately in life, you cannot know when I open my mouth with what is behind that. You cannot know what is behind. I was reading the Bible the other day and I was telling my wife, I read that scripture where the king Herod was saying, show me where Jesus has been born. I go and worship. But actually he wanted to go and kill him. That's how opposite words can be. He's saying, I want to go and worship him. But actually he means to go and kill. So you cannot tell what is coming out or what is motivating. So the criteria is, are they negative? Whether the ignorance or money. You also now need to consult more than one person. Yes, don't rely on one. And again, you also need to, the rule of government happenings. You also need to know who are you consulting. You cannot keep on consulting people who have failed. go through. They are good. They will tell you some things, but also consult those people who have succeeded. It's like you want to get married and the only people you are asking the one who are divorced. What do you expect from them? See, they will tell you how possible divorce is or how difficult marriage is. Look for the others whose marriages are working. They give you another side. Then from there, finally, wewe mwenyewe ukuje upime huyu amesema hivi, huyu amesema hivi, make your decision. So these people, time imeenda sana, but I think I need to mention this. Itabidi mniongezee time because I have a target to finish. Because they cost you. You know, friendship has cost. I hope you know that. If you are in a friendship where you don't incur cost, that will not go far. We cannot be friends every time tukipatana na kubaia chai forever. It can't be. Leo nitanunua lakini kesho na ngoja ununue ama ufanye kitu. There must be a cost. So if we are friends and I'm incurring a cost because of you, na wewe kazi yako ni kuongea tu negative, the best thing is to stop. Just a minute, I sort something. Yeah. But itabidi tuongeze because we have 8 rules. Tumefika rule number 4.
Okay, yes, huyu rafiki yako mwenye unasema mwenye akishapata the one asikia. Tutaendelea na mwingine. Imagine ungekuwa the one. But that's the point. Ni lazima imagine kwa vile kwa so many of them. Na imagine satisfaction ni kwa inakupea lesson. Na you have ongelesha ndio
Sasa tumemaliza hiyo maneno, sio? Sasa nitawacharge counseling fee. Rule number 5, it was appraised rule. And this appraised rule, we have the option here, and we compute someone known as simple average payoff. Simple average payoff. Simple average payoff. So number one is 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. Now all these you divide by 4. The answer obviously will be 60. Option 2, we have minus 10 plus 120 plus 120 plus 120. You divide by 4. $7.5. And number 3, it is minus 80 plus 50 plus 180 plus 180. You divide by 4. Either 2.5. Number 4, it is minus 150 plus minus 20 plus 110 plus 240. You divide by 4. So again, there we select the highest. The highest is 87.5. So what the advice? The advice is that they should buy 2 cakes. That was number 5, eh? That was number 6. Number 6 inaitwa Howitt rule. And this one we say let alpha to be 0.8. So anything you see being called let, that means it has been assumed, was not part of the original question. So sasa, we have the option and we compute something called weighted average payoff. Weighted average payoff. So in this one, option 1, we are going to have 0.8 times the best. The best is 60 plus 1 minus 0.8 times the worst. The worst there is still 60. The answer is 60. These formulas are already in the notes. When you look at the notes later, when we come to number 2, it is 0.8 times the best. The best there is 120 plus 1 minus 0.8 times the worst. The worst there is minus 10. 94. Number 3 is 0.8 times the best. The best there is 180 plus 1 minus 0.8 times the worst. The worst there is minus 80.
What is
128. The last one, number 4, is 0.8 times the best. Best is 240 plus 1 minus 0.8 times the worst. The worst there is minus 150.
Once is
162. Sasa, you go for the highest again. So the highest is this. So you advise them to buy what? 4 cakes. Yeah, one minute.
Oh, you want to make it and it's put the value in the trees. I mean, and then I can trace it.
So kwa hiyo tumemaliza. Now before we do the other two, we need to draw another table. We need to draw another table inafanana na hii. So hii table huwa inaitwa regrets stroke opportunity losses. Opportunity losses table. We have the option here and the outcome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hapa, angalia hapa. What happens then? There is a working here. It's a working that you need here. So what happens? Nakuja kwa hii column in the original table, you pick the highest. So the highest kwa hizi ile ni 60. So inakuwa 60 minus 60, you get a 0. 60 minus 10, that gives us what? 70. 60 minus 80, that gives us 140. 60 minus 150, that gives us 200 and what? 10, and the probability is 0.1. So that is for the first one. So what I need to see how big it is so that you're able to allocate the space well. Ukikuja kwa hii ingine ya pili, the highest is 120. So it is 120 minus 60, that is 60. 120 minus 120, that is 0. 120 minus 50, that is 70. 120 minus 20, that is 140. And the probability is 0.2. So we go to number 3, the highest is 180. So 180 minus 60, that is 120. 180 minus 120, that is 60. 180 minus 110, that is 70. Oh, this is 180. So that I get a 0. Then 180 minus 110, that is 70, with a probability of 0.3. Number 4, the highest is 240. So 240 minus 60 is 180. 240 minus 120 is 120. 240 minus 180 is 60. 240 minus 240 is 0. And the probability is 0.4. And the last column is expected opportunity loss. Maybe I think so. We are going to have a working for everything we don't have space. Not bother you so much. So, the next rule should be number 7. It is called minimax regret rule. So minimax regret rule. So the minimax regret rule, we have option. We have maximum regret. We have maximum regrets. So here, option 1. Nakimbia hapa Maana hizi. This one. The maximum is 180. For option 2, the maximum is 120. Option 3, the maximum is 140. Option 4, the maximum is 210. So this rule says, select the minimum of the maximums. So the minimum of the maximums is 120. So you advise them to buy 2 kits. Advise them to buy 2 kits. Rule number 8. Is called savage rule. Savage rule. In savage rule, you have the option here. Then you have expected opportunity loss. Expected opportunity loss. So option 1, tuna compute tu just like we did with the expected monetary value. So unachukua hizi losses. Hapa we have 0 times 0.1 plus 60 times 0.2 plus 120 times 0.3 plus 180 times 0.4. Lakini katika ya sama 120. Let's go with the popular one. Number 2, you will take 70 times 0.1 plus 0 times 0.2 plus 60 times 0.3 plus 120 times 0.4. $73. We got to number 3, where we say 140 times 0.1 plus 70 times 0.2 plus 0 times 0.3 plus 60 times 0.4. Number 4 is 210 times 0.1 plus 140 times 0.2 plus 70 times 0.3 plus 0 times 0.4. 70. So this one, the advice, you select the smallest, that is this one. So the advice is that they should buy 3 cakes. The advice is that they should buy 3 cakes. The next thing that we need to know how to compute is called value of information. Value of information.
No, the smallest.
Yes, we have picked the smallest. So in the value of information, this is what you do. You go to the original table. You go picking the highest. In option 1, the highest was 60, multiplied by 0.1. The next one, the highest was 120, multiplied by 0.2. The next one, the highest was 180, that is the outcomes, not options, the outcomes, 0.3. The next one is 240 at 0.4. Then you pick the highest. You pick the highest expected monetary value, which we have gotten as 128. 128. And the answer you get should be 52. Confirmed. Okay. It's okay. Eh? This is because value of information can also be gotten at the lowest POL. So there are two ways of getting value of information. You can get the lowest UL, or you can compute that way. Those two formulas are in your notes again. You help with that. The next thing that I want to do is to help you design a set of questions which you shall use for your own practice. No, that's not a rule. You need, for example, you are a entrepreneur. You have applied for a tender, unataka usaidiwe. Unajua they say I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So how far do you scratch? Ikikusaidia na wewe unisaidie. I'm going to help you get this tender of 40 million. So utaniambia tu asante. Una kitu utarusha? So how much? That's what you call value. Ama saa hii, if I do like some fellows do, the bad ones, nikwambia mimi I can help you pass the exam. I have connections with customers. So how much are you going to pay me? If we teach and that, can you pay me? Hakikisha umepita QA. Can you give? Give out.
Yes.
What if I tell you, give me 50,000? Yes, now that's what I'm saying. Unaona 3,000 unasema lakini 50 unasema so ni kuonyesha 50 imepita what we would call the cost rather than benefit. Nasema badala ya kupeana 50 afadhali nianguke tena. Lakini badala ya kuanguka kama ni 3,000 tu anataka acha. Yes, that's how people argue. But I'm not teaching you to go argue that way. In the wrong side, but there is the correct side. You need to know before you do anything. So you hear what we call cost benefit analysis. Yeah, you need to check on that. Okay. Sasa, let's go to. Sasa hiyo maneno tumefanya. That it does not mean that the examiner atakuletea yote. Ataleta some of those, Yeah. So question 3, which is an assignment, nasema a bakery produces bread for sale to shops. Each row costs shilling 3 and is sold to the shops for shilling 30. The demand for over a recent period of 50 days is given below. If the bakery produces a loaf but cannot sell it to a shop, it loses shillings 20 per loaf. Required. Decide how many loaves the bakery should produce per day. So let's design the analysis table. The analysis table. Now, in this one, first of all, I have the options. The option in this case is production. The unit that will be produced. Number 2, I have the outcome. And the outcome is demand. Sasa tunaambiwa that they sell the same day and so this one, design it like so we have units sold. units not sold So how are we going to get our profits? Again, it will be revenue minus costs. That will be our payoff or the profit. Sasa, if I say production is A, and I say that unit sold is B, then units not sold will be A minus B, and I call them C. Then my revenue will be 1K kinauzwa 40 bob, eh? So it will be 40 B minus the production costs. 1K kinauzwa, we make it at 30, so 30 A. And any cake that is not sold, they use 20. So 20 C. That is our payoff. Okay. So assume they go and buy 10, or they produce 10. Produce 10, and the demand turns to be 10. So how many do they sell? 10. How many remain unsold? C. See, hii kutumia formula utaweza. If they get a demand of 12, they will sell 10. So how many remain unsold? 0. If they get a demand of 14, they again sell 10, 0 remain. They get a demand of 16, they sell 10, 0 remains. They get 18, they sell 10, and we have 0. So hiyo tunafunga hivyo. Let us assume they produce 12. They now produce 12. But wale wateja wamekuja, they are 10. So they sell what? 10. How many remain unsold? 2. If 12 customers come, they sell 12. How many remain unsold? 0. If 14 come, they sell 12. 0 remaining. If 16 customers come, they sell 12. 0 remains. If 18 customers come, they sell 12 with 0 remaining. And let's assume they now produce 14. If they produce 14 and 10 customers come, they sell 10. And how many remain? 4. If 12 customers come, they sell 12. 2 remain. 14 customers come, they sell 14. And how many remain unsold? 16 customers come, they sell 14. How many remain unsold? 0. If 18 customers come, they sell 14. And how many remain unsold? 0. So hiyo tunafunga. Now assume they have produced 16. They produce 16. 10 customers come, they sell 10. How many remain? 6. 12 customers come, they sell 12. 4 remain. 14 come, they sell 14. 2 remain. 16 come, they sell 16. 0 remain. 18 come, they sell 16. 0 remain. Assume now they decide to produce 18. If a demand of 10 comes, they sell 10. So 8 remain. 12 come, they sell 12. 6 remain. 14 come, they sell 14. 4 remain. 16 come, they sell 16. 2 remain. 18 come, they sell 18. 0 remains. Sasa kuanzia hapo utatengeneza hizi payoffs, then you prepare the summary. Tengeneza the summary, you do everything we have done. Kutoka rule number 1 mpaka number 8, you do the value of information. Good. So I think we call it a day at that point.